Imagine standing in the middle of a thriving city, thousands of people going about their lives. Raised platforms supporting homes and temples. Wide, straight roads connecting communities for miles. Sophisticated farms producing enough food to feed tens of thousands. Then, one day, the people simply walked away. No grand final battle recorded in stone. No single catastrophic event that destroyed everything overnight. Just silence. The fires went out. The fields were left untended. The jungle crept back in, slowly at first, then relentlessly, until the entire civilization was swallowed and forgotten for over 1,000 years. This is not the plot of a fantasy novel. This is the real story of the ancient cities of the Upano Valley and other remarkable societies hidden deep in the Amazon rainforest. For centuries, Western science told us the Amazon was a counterfeit paradise. Too harsh, too infertile, too dangerous to ever support large, complex civilizations. Only small nomadic tribes could survive here, we were told. But modern technology has shattered that myth forever. Using LiDAR laser scanning from aircraft, archaeologists have peeled back the dense canopy to reveal something astonishing. Vast networks of cities, roads, platforms, and engineered landscapes that should not exist according to old textbooks. At its peak, this society supported populations that rivaled many ancient cities in Europe or Asia. They engineered the soil itself to be fertile. They built monumental architecture. They organized labor on a massive scale, and then they left. In this deep dive video, we're exploring one of the most haunting questions in archaeology today. When the ancients left, everything changed. We'll examine the evidence of their incredible achievements, the clues surrounding their mysterious departure, the theories about why they abandoned their cities, and what their story means for our understanding of human history and our own future. If you're fascinated by lost civilizations, ancient mysteries, and discoveries that force us to rewrite the past, this is the video for you. Let's step into the abandoned city and try to understand why the ancients walked away. Section 1. The rise of a civilization that should not exist. The story begins long before the abandonment, in a time when the Amazon was anything but empty wilderness. For generations, scholars assumed tropical rainforests were hostile to large-scale human settlement. Poor soils, heavy rainfall, dense vegetation, and disease were all cited as reasons why complex societies could never flourish here the way they did in drier regions, like Mesopotamia or the Andes. But starting in the late 20th century and accelerating with LiDAR technology in the 2010s and 2020s, a completely different picture has emerged. In the Upano Valley of Morona Santiago province in eastern Ecuador, researchers led by figures like Stephen Rothstein began finding earthen mounds and platforms decades ago. At first they seemed isolated. Then the aerial laser scans arrived. LiDAR works like a technological X-ray for jungles. It fires millions of laser pulses from planes or drones, measuring the time it takes for light to bounce back from the ground. By stripping away the vegetation in digital models, It reveals the true shape of the landscape beneath. What it showed in the Upano Valley was staggering. More than 6,000 rectangular earthen platforms, some several meters high and large enough to support substantial buildings. These platforms were arranged in organized clusters, residential areas, ceremonial centers, and public spaces connected by a network of straight roads, some up to 10-20 meters wide and stretching for kilometers. The largest settlements featured central plazas and monumental structures that required coordinated labor from hundreds or thousands of people. Drainage canals and raised fields show sophisticated water management. The entire system spans hundreds of square kilometers, with at least 15 major settlements and many smaller ones, forming a true regional society. Even more impressive is the agriculture. These ancients created terra preta, Amazonian dark earth, by mixing charcoal, pottery fragments, organic waste, and soil. This anthropogenic soil is incredibly fertile and stable, remaining productive for centuries. It proves deliberate, large-scale soil engineering that turned poor rainforest dirt into highly productive farmland, capable of supporting dense populations. At its height, between roughly 500 BCE and 300-600 CE, the Upano Valley and similar sites across the Amazon likely supported tens of thousands of people. This was not scattered subsistence living. This was urbanism, Amazonian style, with planning, hierarchy, and cultural complexity. Similar discoveries elsewhere in the Amazon basin, geoglyphs in Acre, Brazil, massive earthworks in Bolivia, and other sites suggest this wasn't an isolated phenomenon. The rainforest was once home to a mosaic of advanced societies that actively shaped their environment rather than merely surviving within it. These cities should not have existed according to old models of Amazonian ecology, but they did, and for centuries they thrived, until one day the ancients left. Section 2. The Mysterious Moment. Everything changed. The evidence for abandonment is clear but hauntingly incomplete. Around 300 to 600 CE, activity at the major Upano Valley sites declines sharply. Platforms show signs of disuse. Roads begin to erode and disappear under vegetation. There are no new constructions, and the distinctive cultural materials, specific pottery styles, tools, taper off. Importantly, there is no single destruction layer across all sites, no widespread burn marks, no mass graves, no evidence of total violent conquest that would explain a sudden, region-wide collapse. Instead, the departure seems more gradual, yet decisive. People stopped maintaining the infrastructure. Fields were left fallow. The jungle, ever patient, began its slow reclamation. What could have caused an entire, sophisticated society to walk away from such impressive achievements? Several leading theories have emerged from ongoing research. Environmental pressures are high on the list. The Andes region is volcanically active. Ash falls or lahar flows. Volcanic mudslides could have disrupted agriculture and daily life over time. making the cost of staying too high. Climate shifts, perhaps periods of prolonged drought or excessive rainfall, could have strained the carefully engineered farming systems. Social and political factors likely played a role too. Large societies can become unstable when resources are stressed or when leadership structures break down. Internal conflicts, changes in religious beliefs, or decisions to return to more mobile ways of life could have prompted groups to leave. Disease is another possibility. While we don't have direct evidence of pre-Columbian epidemics on the scale of post-contact impacts, localized outbreaks or pandemics could have devastated populations, leading survivors to abandon infected or cursed-feeling places. Cultural or spiritual reasons cannot be ruled out. Many indigenous societies historically moved in response to omens, exhausted sacred landscapes, or shifts in worldview. The ancients may have seen signs that it was time to leave, and they listened. Whatever the combination of factors, the result was profound. When the ancients left, the Amazon changed. The engineered landscapes began to revert. Biodiversity may have even increased in some areas as human pressure decreased. The cities that once stood as testaments to human ingenuity were gradually hidden, becoming the lost settlements we are only now rediscovering. This wasn't necessarily a total extinction or disappearance of the people. Descendant groups may have survived in smaller, more dispersed communities, carrying cultural memory forward in oral traditions. But the urban phase, the grand experiment in Amazonian city building, came to an end. The silence that followed lasted more than 1,000 years. Section 3. The rediscovery and its impact on history. In the 20th and 21st centuries, a handful of researchers refused to accept the old narrative about the Amazon. Stephen Rostand and his colleagues spent decades on the ground in the Upano Valley, excavating platforms and mapping features long before LiDAR made the full scale visible. When the Ecuadorian government funded a major LiDAR survey in 2015, the results were revolutionary. What had looked like isolated mounds turned out to be part of a vast, interconnected system. Publication of the findings in Science in 2024 sent shockwaves through archaeology. Suddenly, the Amazon was being discussed not as a pristine wilderness, but as a former cultural powerhouse, one whose people engineered solutions to rainforest living that we are still learning from today. This rediscovery has forced major revisions in our understanding of pre-Columbian South America. It shows that complex urbanism was possible in tropical environments. It challenges Eurocentric models that placed the cradles of civilization only in certain regions, and it raises uncomfortable questions about what was lost after European contact. Diseases, violence, and disruption that may have accelerated or finalized declines already underway. The story of when the ancients left also carries powerful modern lessons. Their success with terra preta and landscape engineering offers hope for sustainable agriculture in the tropics. Their eventual departure warns us about the fragility of even the most impressive societies when faced with environmental stress, social strain, or unforeseen challenges. In an era of rapid climate change and deforestation, the abandoned cities of the Amazon are not just archaeological curiosities. They are cautionary tales and sources of inspiration. Section 4. What their departure teaches us today, mysterious exit of these ancient Amazonian societies leaves us with more questions than answers, and that is part of their enduring power. We may never know the exact reasons they left, but their story reminds us that civilizations are not immortal. They rise through ingenuity, adapt to their environments, and sometimes choose, or are forced, to change course dramatically. The fact that their cities were so thoroughly reclaimed by the jungle shows both the resilience of nature and the impermanence of human works. Yet the survival of Terra Preta and the traces still being uncovered prove that some legacies endure. For indigenous peoples of the Amazon today, these discoveries can be sources of pride and connection to deep ancestral achievements. For the wider world, they expand our imagination of what is possible. As we face our own global challenges, climate disruption, biodiversity loss, and questions about sustainable living, how the ancients who built and then left these cities offer both warning and wisdom. They built something remarkable against the odds. They knew when it was time to leave, and centuries later, their abandoned works are teaching us once again. The city that should not exist became the city that was left behind, but never truly forgotten. When the ancients left, everything changed. The platforms fell silent, the roads disappeared under green, the jungle reclaimed what humans had shaped, but it could not erase the evidence forever. Today, thanks to technology and determined researchers, we are rediscovering these lost cities and the people who built them. Their story challenges old assumptions, expands our understanding of human potential, and leaves us wondering what other secrets the Amazon still guards. What do you think caused the ancients to leave? Environmental catastrophe? Social upheaval? A deliberate cultural choice? Or something we haven't even imagined yet? Share your theories in the comments. I read every one and love discussing these mysteries with you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of archaeology's most haunting questions, please smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more episodes in the Secrets Buried Longer Than History Itself series. Share this video with friends who love ancient civilizations and lost worlds. A huge thank you for watching and for joining me on this journey into the abandoned cities of the Amazon. The past still has so many stories to tell, even after its people have gone. Until next time, keep wondering what else was left behind in the jungle. See you in the next video.